neat is this over here? Okay. I have just moved. I moved into this house fully yesterday afternoon after I sold a house in Durham and gave a house away in Spartanburg, South Carolina. When I bought this house about 9 months ago, I bought another house too. I bought this house. This is my next residence. I bought it after my husband died a year and a half ago, and I bought his cremation urn. I thought, why not go ahead and buy mine too? Because, if I leave it up to my son, he'll put my ashes in the cat litter box, I'm pretty sure. I decided to go ahead and get this, and it's been sitting next to me on the coffee table for a long time. Last December, I started thinking about moving into that next residence. Now I'm 67 years old last December, too. And I started thinking I better start getting some, I don't know, New Year's resolutions knocked out because that residence is coming. And there's a lot I haven't done yet. So I made a New Year's resolution list. What's the first thing on the list? Of course, lose 10 pounds. All these things I put on my New Year's resolution list. And the more I thought about it, it hit me. It doesn't matter if I'm a size 6 or a size 16. I'm going to fit in there. Why would I waste 1 minute on a New Year's resolution list of meaningless stuff? Life is urgent. And I'm telling you, when you're 67, if you're out there and you're in your 60s, life gets real urgent. I decided that I would spend the rest of my life just living my life's purpose. My life's purpose is pretty simple. My life's purpose is to have people get that they matter. That's it. And that seems like a real little thing, but I'm here to tell you, when you have people get that they matter, sometimes it can change their life. And when you have people get that they matter and they start speaking like they matter, they start to change the lives of other people. That's what I'm here to talk with you about today. I'm here today not to talk to you about stuff that you're going to learn on the paths and pathways anyway. I'm going to share with you some of the things I've learned over the last 20 years and continuing to learn about the art and science of speaking with impact. When you can speak with impact, you can change the world and you can live up to my motto. My motto is, nobody ever changed the world with their silence. So don't worry about taking notes today if you don't want to, because if you want, I'll send you this whole deck. I am out to share what I know in the world. I don't care if I get paid for it. I want you to be able to speak with the most impact you can. If you want to have a conversation about what we've talked about today, what I've talked about, you can reach out to me. I'll be glad to have a conversation on the phone with you because my life is urgent and time's wasting. And I want you to get that you matter and get out and stand up, step in and speak out. I'm going to share with you today the art and science of speaking. And that requires, anytime you want to become a great speaker, is you being a master. I'm a master speaker. I'm a master in action. If you ask my friend Tig, this is my friend Tig Alexander, if you ask him what it took to become a principal dancer on Broadway, he'd say, being a master in action. You never arrive. There's always something else to learn. There's always skills to maintain and sharpen. If you ask this guy how he became an athletic master in action, he's not going to tell you he learned how to throw a free shot and then went and sat down. He's going to tell you he threw foul shots. He made mistake after mistake. He missed the net so many times in order to become a master. Masters are always in action. The first step of being a master in action is knowing where you want to go. Now, I know where I want to go because in my cremation urn, I have little slips of paper, colored slips of paper. On every single one of these colored slips of paper is a bucket list item, something I want to accomplish before I'm left this domain. When I accomplish one, I burn it and I put the ashes in my urn. My goal is to fill my cremation urn with ashes from paper that were the bucket list items I completed before I'm gone. Here's one that says learn how to swim. I grew up in South Florida and I don't know how to swim. I know where I want to go. I want to learn how to swim. Get to the final stage in the World Championship of Public Speaking one more time. On the back, I wrote, and win. So these are just some things that are in my cremation urn. I know where I want to go. Figure out how you're going to decide where you want to go. And today, I want you to think about where you want to go in as it relates to speaking, whether it's to create one story that people will pay you $1 million to hear, whether it's to become a president of your Toastmasters club, to compete in the international speech contest. We'll be talking about that one a little bit later and what you can learn from that. Decide what you're willing to do to get there. This is huge. No one becomes a master dancer or a master basketball player or a master anything without being willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. I tell people that's why I've made it to the final stage in the World Championship of Public Speaking every time I competed. It's because I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. And it isn't to write a speech 3 times. The last time I was on the final stage, the speech I gave on the final stage was the 50-second version that had been test driven way more than that. So you have to be willing to do what it takes to get there, no matter what it is you want to be a master at. You need to find the tools required for the journey. When I was young, my first major in college was Bachelor of Fine Arts, jewelry and ceramics. And I was interested in making jewelry. So I got myself a little toolkit and I made some necklaces. I strung some beads. I wanted to step it up from there. So I had to go get some tools, some different tools. This is my workshop now. This is just half of my workshop. If you look over to the right, I have over 50 pairs of pliers, each one with its own specific use. You have to have the right tools if you want to master something. Going from just stringing beads with the right tools, I create jewelry now that I show in galleries. I do really well with gallery showings for my jewelry. Everything is made from scratch. Every piece of metal sawed, every stone set, all the little dots and wires here, all made from scratch. Because how? I elevated my skill set and I got the right tools. This is being the last show that I did. When you have the right tools, you can do anything. These are the tools that are currently, well, this isn't even all the tools. These are some of the tools in my speaking toolbox. Now, you don't need to write any of these down because I told you I'll send you this deck if you want it, or take a screenshot if you want to take a screenshot. But if you have just half of these, you're going to be a more impactful speaker in the world. And being an impactful speaker in the world is a part of changing lives. I also want to tell you one other thing. There's a piece of paper in my cremation urn that says, become a millionaire. Now, I have actually been a financial millionaire 3 times. I'm not anymore because I gave birth to a severely disabled daughter, $5 million by the time she was just a year old. And my husband, who passed away last year, needed a double lung transplant at Duke Medical. 1.8 million for the first lung, second one's free. What I learned in the course of the 67 years of my life is that money comes and goes. But I want to be a different kind of millionaire. I want to be a millionaire by impacting the lives directly or indirectly of 1 million people. I don't know how many people are in the room there, how many people online. Ding, 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 ding. If I make a difference for you today and impact your life, I'm getting credit for that. Anybody you impact as a result of something you hear today, I get credit for that too. I want to directly or indirectly impact the lives of at least 1 million people. If I do that, I'm going to be a millionaire again, and I'm going to be an important millionaire. I call it a millionaire of the heart. And that's something I'll be able to take with me wherever I'm going next. Mastering anything requires two things: learning in action and being in action. So many times in Toastmasters, people say, "Oh, I'm a DTM. I don't need to do the paths anymore. I'm all cooked and baked. I don't need to do that." Or all I need to do is deliver speeches. I don't really have any more learning to do because I know what I'm supposed to do. I know about vocal variety. I know about pitch, pace, and pause and all that other stuff. But there's way more to learn about speaking than just what you're going to learn in a path. In fact, what I'm going to talk to you about today, most of it, pretty much all of it probably is not on a path. And I'm going to invite you to take learning and action really seriously. My learning and action journey to be a master speaker is hours a week. I have this right here. Here's a stack of all of the speeches I'm currently working on right here in this folder. That's just the speeches. That's not increasing my learning. Learning in action and being in action. Learning in action requires knowing the science. And the second thing you need to do is find the mentors and teachers you're going to need along the way. These are some of mine. I have an idol, Patricia Fripp. If you know her, you know why. If you don't know her, look her up. Follow her. Listen to everything she ever does. Coach, Darren LaCroix, owner of Stage Time University. He's my coach. He's my go-to guy. He'll tell me like it is. I stalk Mel Robbins. Love her. She has converted me. I don't wear heels on stage anymore. I wear glitter sneakers. Woman changed my life with that alone. And my teacher, Ford Sakes. You don't need to know anything about marketing. Ford Sakes is the guy to go to. You have to find people that you want to follow and follow people that can push you. Follow speakers that you want to emulate. Now, you're going to have your own style. I have my own style, but my style is kind of in line with Mel Robbins' style. So I follow her. Find out who your mentors are and coaches and learn from them. The science of speaking is the knowing. We're going to talk about that first. You must know things. The art of speaking is about the beingness. But let's talk about the science first. You have to study the science of speaking. First one is Paul MacLean's triune brain model. If you're a speaker, you need to know this. We don't have just one brain. We have three brains. We have a head brain, we have a heart brain, and we have a gut brain. Have you ever heard someone say, "What's your gut telling you? What's your heart? What does your heart say? What does your heart feel?" Check in with your heart. Check in with your gut. That's because there's actually neural networks in both your gut and your heart that are determined to have intelligence. Your heart brain can actually learn and create memory. There are more neurons traveling, neural impulses traveling from your heart to your brain than there are from your brain to your heart. And your brain has to be telling your heart, to keep beating. Your gut brain has a neural network that's equivalent to the brain of a cat. So when you think about, your stomach growling, it's really maybe your gut brain trying to tell you something. The head brain is what the brain people mostly think about. It has three parts, too. The reptilian brain, it controls your survival instinct. The reptilian brain is the thing that says, I don't want to get up in front of those people and talk, because your reptilian brain thinks it's a matter of life and death. Your reptilian brain thinks if you get on a stage, you might just die. It operates to keep you safe, and it's automatic responses. It's where the fight, flight, or fight comes from, the reptilian brain. As a speaker, it's important for you to know that that's where it lives. When you are afraid, when you are getting ready to stand up in front of a group of people and you just start shaking and you say, I'm just too nervous. I don't know how to. Well, here's an easy trick. Get out of your reptilian brain. And the way to do that is to move your thought process from your reptilian brain to the frontal cortex part of your brain, where adding and subtracting and processing occurs. It's Mel Robbins has this great trick. It's called the 5 second rule. I think it's 5 seconds. It's when you get about to do something and you're just not doing it, whether it's walking out on the stage or getting over your nervousness, start counting backwards from, I count from 10. What you do when you do that is you bring the thought process to where counting occurs. Counting doesn't happen in the reptilian brain. And if you are counting down, you can't be in your reptilian brain. There's another neuroscience experiment that was done that shows you cannot feel fear or anxiety if you tighten up every muscle in your body. I tell people that I coach that some people really break out in a cold sweat on stage. They become frozen. Curl your toes, tighten the muscles in your feet, in your ankles, in your shins, in your butt. Squeeze your butt chakra together, your abdomen, your arms, all while you're standing there. And then put the muscles on your face into a big smile. And when you have every muscle in your body tightened all at the same time, it's physiologically impossible to be filled with fear and anxiety. It's a simple trick, but it works. You have to move out of the reptilian brain. So you have to know that it's there, it's not going away, but it's a part of the brain you need to know about. The limbic system, that controls emotions, motivations, and drive. That is the part of the brain kind of in the back and of the cup. That's where you're speaking to your audience when you're telling a story. When you want them, the serotonin to be flowing, when you want to try to get those neurons firing. That's all in the limbic system because that's where emotion, motivation, and drive. And here's the real important thing. The limbic system is where learning happens. So when you are speaking to your audience and you're not evoking any emotion from them, whether it's anger or joy or laughter or even curiosity, they're not learning anything. You're basically just verbally vomiting information on them and it's going in one ear and out the other. You have to understand what the limbic system does. It's a very important part. Then there's the neocortex. This is responsible for all of that high order thinking we were talking about, counting, problem solving. It's where memory and it's where language is held. It's where you plan and you think about what you're going to say next. So when it comes to the brain in your head brain, I'm going to leave you with this, and this is something I want you to remember. Most people speak because this is where language is held. They speak from here out here. They completely forget that they got a heart brain. They completely forget that they have a gut brain. They get on a stage. You see this all the time in the international speech contest, don't you? Perfectly memorized, no ahs, no ums, no slip ticks. Speech delivered in time, and you didn't feel a darn thing. And why didn't you feel a darn thing? It's because they are going from their language center straight out their mouth. They're not running that language first through their heart. You'll hear people talk about horrific stuff that may have happened in their life, and they're acting like, they're telling you what they had for lunch today. One of the reasons I find when I coach people that they do this is, well, if I go through my heart, if I go through my gut, if I go through my gut, I might get mad about what happened. Well, get mad. Feel something. If you're going to tell me about something that impacted you on an emotional level, feel it. I want to feel it go through your heart first. So check in with yourself. before you get up into a group in front of a group of people, whether it's a speech in your Toastmasters club or a conversation with your teenage son to tell him to clean his room. Ask yourself if you're going to have more impact if you run those words through your heart brain and your gut brain first before the words come out your mouth. If you do just that one little thing, you will change the way you speak. Now, I'm going to stop here and tell you this is a trick that you can use. This is a trick I use, and it serves me well. People say, well, if I go through my heart, if I go through my gut, I'm going to be out of control on the stage. If I start thinking about that thing that happened and I start crying, I'm going to cry. Well, I don't care if you cry. Sometimes I'm on stage and snot's running down my face. But guarantee if people are feeling what I'm feeling, they get that I'm being authentic. Now there is to the point where you can't recover. And there are things I speak about on stage that are so devastating to me that if I fully went there, I might have trouble recovering. Or people say, well, I just can't be mad. I just can't be sad just like that on stage. I just can't pull it up like you can. But I tell you, you can if you know the trick. And here's the trick. Choose a space somewhere off to your left or your right and visualize a hole. Now, this takes practice, a little bit of practice over time. And then remember some of the worst things that could have ever happened to you. For me, the death of my little girl. It doesn't get much worse than that, friends. I learned after she died that if I was going to make it in the world, if I was going to be able to get out of bed again, I was going to have to take that grief and stuff it. And that's when I created this hole and I put it in there. Here's the trick. If you can take enough of your grief and your pain, and we've all had it in life, and you can put it there, all it takes when you're on a stage or when you're speaking is to look there. I can't even look there without it coming back for me. I don't look there throughout the day because that hole in space is for me all the time. But I know when I'm speaking and I need to access something and I need to have the audience know what I'm feeling, I can go there. If you practice this and use this when you're speaking, anger's in there too. Grief is in there, joy is in there, whatever is in there for you. And then when you need to pull away from it and get back to your audience, you just look away from where you stored it. That's a trick that I use that has served me well, and perhaps it will serve you well too. So you have three brains: the heart, the brain, the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. Don't forget about those. You want to look these guys up, the Heart Math Institute, heartmath.com. They study specifically the interactions between the heart and the brain. I have complete speeches that have been written by my heart brain. I just got into a meditative state, turned on a tape recorder, and just let my heart start talking. And I've created some pretty impactful speeches from that. Now, there wasn't any knowledge in my head. It was memories that my heart held that then came through my language center of my brain. Look up Heart Math Institute. You're going to, throughout this presentation today, you're going to get a lot of things that you need to, that I'm going to encourage you to go look up and do some further study on it. Why? Because you need to study the science of speaking. We've talked about these. The head is the heart of logic and intellect. The gut, 90% of the serotonin is produced in your gut. That's why they say, eat your way to happiness. If you eat right, it's one of the reasons I became a vegan. I wanted my gut to be in such great shape that physically, if I was in good shape, my gut was in good shape, then I would be in good shape emotionally. And it's actually helped. If your gut brain is intact and is healthy, your serotonin is flowing. And your heart has more, I talked about that, from the head to the heart than from the head. More pathways, neural pathways from the heart to the brain, head brain, than from the head brain to the heart. Here is some science. Look this guy up. David J.P. Phillips. This guy's amazing. You can look him up on YouTube and watch some of his stuff without paying for it. If you pay his big money, you can get his 110 communication and speaking skills. He has something, I think I joined for $197. I got access to all his stuff for a year. This looks like a periodic table. Well, this is my periodic table. This is the periodic table of speaking skills. It has so much information in it. If you learn, look at this one here, how to generating eye contact. He teaches that if you want to create empathy in the heart and mind of your audience, it's as simple as tilting your head. If you tilt your head and step forward and lower your body, woo, it's a trifecta of empathy. When you learn many of the science behind speaking with impact, what I learned is it's kind of like mind mojo. It's kind of like using mind mojo on your audience. When I'm on a stage, movements I'll make, I always have a chair, because when you lower your body in space, two things happen. It lights up your audience's brain, and it puts them in a position of being ready to accept and be compassionate and be empathetic. Just from sitting down on a chair. I usually sit down when I'm going to tell a story about something that has a lot of emotion in it for me, and that I'm hoping will have some emotion in it for them. So you want to look up David J.P. Phillips. You want to study the 110 communication and speaking skills. Structure. Now, everyone has their own structures for speeches and structures for stories. These are the ones that I use. They have never failed me. The Patricia Fripp model. I'm here to tell you, I am a Patricia Fripp fan. If you want, and you'll have a chance to get my email at the end of this, and you want me to send you my presentation prep worksheet for the Patricia Fripp model, 2 pages, I just fill it out, then I transfer information onto the Patricia Fripp model page, a 1-pager. It's all I need. With this, I can create a 1-hour keynote in about 10 minutes. It's easy using the Patricia Fripp model. I use it. It's the only thing I use. I have a stack of, well, here it is. I'll show you right here. I have a stack of blanks right here. So when I'm getting ready to prepare a speech, or I'm getting ready to prepare another keynote, I'm going to go. Last week, I went and spoke to a construction company about speaking with public speaking 101. So that I really needed something to prepare that, because that's taking it way back to the beginning. I keep a stack of these. I have them printed off in cardstock so that I can keep reworking them and saving them. You'll want to find the model that works for you. If you want to use a Patricia Fripp model, I can send you both of these if you'll email me. If you want, make a note now and just email me that you request those. The Hero's Journey model, this is about doing stories. Nancy Duarte. Okay, here's a book. I'm going to show you a book. You got to get it. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see on my books. I'm going to pull my books out probably. I've got about 20 books here that are my go-to. If you want, email me. You want a list of my book list too. I'll send you my book list. This book, Resonate by Nancy Duarte. You must have it. Resonance is how you connect with an audience. Resonance is about lighting up the audience's brain, creating presentation. This is a lot about presentations, of which speeches are, but more about longer presentations. To be able to resonate with your audience, create that resonate when you're in the same space as your audience, in a room with your audience. You must have this book, Nancy Duarte. Henry Dry's archetype model for stories, Steve Jobs model for storytelling, all of them very good. Find the one that works for you. Here are just a couple for you to look up. Here's the Patricia Fripp model. It's very easy. The Patricia Fripp model to write a keynote or even to write a speech. I can write a speech like 2 minutes before a Toastmasters meeting if someone has dropped out and they need a speech. I always have these in my backpack. All you need is an idea to sell. Let's throw in now. I'm a cat person, but how about this? Everybody should own a dog. That's an idea to sell in a speech. Everybody should own a dog. Then you need three answers to the question in the mind of the audience when you sell your idea. Everybody needs to own a dog. Why? Okay, answer number one. Kids need to own dogs. They learn responsibility. Kids learn responsibility when they own a dog. And then you want three examples for those. An example can be a study, it can be a case study, it can be a story, it can be a quote, it can be whatever. Three examples to support three answers to the question in the mind of the audience when you are selling your idea, and you've got a speech. That's it. Kids need to own dogs. Kids can be responsible. It gets them outside. Instead of being on their computer, makeup's another one. Second answer, why? People that are young singles need to own a dog. Why? Because you can pick up chicks at the dog park. Because it gives them keeps them from being lonely when they come home from work. Last one, older people need to own dogs. It's a scientific fact that people who have a pet live longer. If they have a dog, they're not sitting in a chair, they're getting exercise. So if you have examples to answer the three answers to the why question in the audience's head using the Patricia Fripp model, you have a speech in 2 minutes, 5 minutes tops. Here are the types of support that I use when I'm doing a Patricia Fripp model. I really like stories. You always want to include a story. Well, I'm saying that as it is an absolute. You always want to include a story because this is the science of it again. Neurologists did an experiment and they attached electrodes to people's brains, to their heads. And then they did all kinds of things with those people. They read to them. They gave them food, different types of food to eat. They played music. They had them play cards. They had them solve math problems. They even let them have sex. And they recorded all of the different areas of the brain that were being activated through all of these different activities. And the absolute only thing that lit up every area of the brain was when it was listening to a story. And here's the real crazy thing. When that story was then retold, just recounted to someone else, the impact for that second party was exactly the same. There's something about our brain that really attaches to stories. If you are a Toastmaster and you are delivering speeches, one of the things I beg you to do is on a regular basis, dig the stories out of your life. I think I learned that not too long ago, this club had someone come and talk about stories. I have a book. It's not a book. It's a bound thing called a story dig. If you want this, email me. I'll send you a story dig. Stories are important. I always include them as one of the examples. You want to mix it up too. You don't want it only to be stories. You've got to have all kinds of different things. And here are some examples you can include. These are speech opening options you can use. I like to open with a story. I like to close with a story, maybe a quote. You'll have to figure out what that is for you. But here are just some options you can use for that. All included if you want, I'll send it to you, my Patricia Fripp Best Ideas from Patricia Fripp. I have that as well. So in your story structure, this is what I use for my story structure. I studied a bunch of different models for stories, structures for stories, but this one works the best for me. And it's easy for me to remember because it's STORY. Set the scene. And I don't mean, if you know LaCroix, Darren LaCroix, he'll say, don't report, transport. Take the person there, set the scene with what you were seeing and feeling and smelling, and then take them on a ride. It went up and it went down, and there was an obstacle, there was another obstacle, and then the stakes went higher and all kinds of things. Have to have an obstacle. You have to resolve the obstacle. Doesn't have to be a positive resolution. The story of my husband's death, definitely not a positive. Obstacle got resolved, but you have to not leave an open loop, no matter what the obstacle is.
Linda,
And then why are you?
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
We're not seeing your slides since storytelling.
Oh, mm.
We can see.
Well, I don't know, online I can't see them anymore.
Is it something you is there everybody
Oh, we can
online? Can
see.
they
I
not
can
see?
see. I can
In the
see.
room, we are seeing them.
And
Okay, and
online, I'm
And we
I
online.
didn't
can
I can
finish
see
see.
it.
checking.
I can see here.
okay, so somebody, whoever said that, this must be something you hit or something's happened for you.
I
Okay.
can't see it. I'm online. I can't see them either.
I'm in gallery view. We were seeing the slides and then I don't know what happened, but then around storytelling they missed. They went away. So anyway, just sorry. Maybe you want to check the
Uh,
sheet.
well, it's not. I haven't done anything different. I'm not touching the machine, so it maybe go out of gal, maybe go into pinning me or something. If you pin it, can you do that? Maybe. I don't know. It's because some of the other people online can see. I'm not sure what it is that's happening for you. Unless does everybody want me to just get out completely and come back in? See if that resolves it.
No, it's okay.
Okay, okay. Well, let's keep going. Um, okay, so how do you create an experience for the audience? This is key if you want to create resonance with your audience, because really communication is you creating, it's communing in action. You communicating with your audience and creating an experience together. And together, you and your audience creating this experience creates hopefully a new possibility of the world, a possibility for your audience, a possibility for you, a possibility for the world as a result of them hearing you. So, how do you do this? You have to create energy. When you are in front of a group of people, whether it's on a stage or in front of your Toastmasters club, there are two types of energy to create. One is physical energy, and the other is emotional energy. And great public speaking is simply an exchange of energy between you and your audience. For physical energy, you don't have to go any further in your study than the study of these two guys. Sebastian Maniscalco is a comedian. Dan Reynolds is the lead singer in Imagine Dragons. If you look up Imagine Dragons live in Vegas, 2-hour YouTube video, you will be enthralled with the physical energy that he creates. And that physical energy that he creates resonance between him and the audience. He could just stand behind the microphone and sing, but you'll see what he does as a lead singer when he's in concert uses skills that you should be using as a speaker. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those. Sebastian Maniscalco, both facial physical energy and body physical energy. He and Dan Reynolds both use leveling to the max. And leveling is anytime a part of your body moves from one of these levels to a different level, your audience's brain lights up and leaps forward. I think it's why Darren LaCroix won the world championship of public speaking the instant he fell down on the ground. He went completely to level zero. When you're in front of a group of people and you're asking them, say, hey, raise your hand if, no, raise your hand if. When you break your hand through to another level, people will raise their hand simply because they're waking up. When you want to create some emotion, move your bodies down out of level 4 and 5 when you're on the stage. That's why sitting down can bring a different response in your audience's brain. Use this, and when you are speaking in front of your Toastmasters club, you're also, especially if you're online like me, look, I'm a two-dimensional postcard. Break through that. When you're on a stage, break through this two-dimension, become three-dimensional with your audience, even more than that. And you will light up your audience's brain. Both Sebastian Maniscalco and Dan Reynolds do this beautifully. His facial energy. Sebastian Maniscalco, I'm going to show you a video here. We're going to not watch the video because we're not going to have time, but I want you to go watch it. I want you to look up Sebastian Maniscalco on YouTube, Doorbell. The name of the it's like 3 minutes. It's called Doorbell. You've got to watch it. When you watch it twice. Watch it once because it's just funny and you're gonna love it. But then watch it again with the sound off. And do what I do. Freeze the screen, take a picture of it with your phone, and learn that physical gesture, that facial gesture, and tuck it away and use it. You can tell each of these facial gestures on the screen. You know exactly what he's saying. But as speakers, do you use your face to do gestures? Do you think your face is saying what you think it's saying? I guarantee you, a lot of times it's not. Learn from Sebastian Maniscalco, and here it is, Doorbell. Go watch Doorbell. Dan Reynolds, he uses body positioning. He uses leveling. Look at look at what he's doing here. He's breaking the two-dimensional plane. He leans in, his arms are always on a level higher. And that brings an emotional energy to his crowd simply by how he's using his body and the leveling and gestures and creating physical energy in the minds of his audience. And his is also going to create emotional energy. Go watch. So even if you don't like the music, I mean, I like Imagine Dragons, but I was glued to that 2 hour live in Vegas, and I literally got hundreds of screenshots out of it because I kept freezing it, taking pictures of things to work on. In fact, because I'm competing again this year in the International Speech Contest, hopefully, maybe I'll make it to the final stage. What I want to do on the final stage requires that I be in such great physical condition so that I can use some of the types of full body gestures that Dan Reynolds uses, that I went and got a trainer. I'm working with a trainer now in a gym twice a week just to get my body to the point where I'm able to do what I want to do on stage the next time I make it to the final stage in the World Championship of Public Speaking. Emotional energy. I have a coach this year in my next residence. I have a card in here that's a bucket list item. That is to learn and to do battle rap. Now, I don't know if you know what battle rap is. If you don't, you need to look it up, and you need to look up Loaded Lux, because Loaded Lux is my favorite battle rapper. Battle rapping is a way of speaking that any speaker that wants to be a master needs to get their head around and practice. We are used to just what we learn in Toastmasters, but there's a whole different way of speaking. We are going to listen to Brandon Leake's Pookie. If the technology here works, you guys are going to tell me if you can hear it if the video plays. It's just like 3 minutes. And I'm telling you that Brandon Leake, and that is not battle rap, that is called spoken word. You need to become experienced in being able to perform spoken word. I have no doubt, and I can't wait for the day that the World Championship of Public Speaking is won by somebody getting on the stage and doing what Brandon Leaks does in this video we're about to watch called Spoken Word. And I think this is 3 minutes. he would have won the international. Well, of course, he would have been under time, but study the art of spoken word and study the art of battle rap, and it will improve your speaking. We're going to watch if this works. Holler out and tell me if you can hear it. Let's see. No, we can't hear it. It disconnected. Nope, not happening. Oh, what happened there? Is everybody there?
Yeah.
Okay, something happened. I don't know what happened. Oh, okay, here we are. I don't know what happened here. Now mine did something crazy. What are you guys seeing?
Right there. We're seeing your
Presentation.
slide one.
Yeah.
You're
slide
seeing,
one.
yeah, what the heck? Okay, I'm going to have to, I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to
Your
stop.
video froze.
Oh, okay, that could be it. Maybe it's my internet. Okay, hold on. Let's try it again. Maybe I'm not having enough. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to it. Let's try this. Okay, now are you seeing it again?
Yes. slide
Okay,
one.
all right, let's go down. Let's go to back where we were. We were here. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Then we're going to go to slideshow from current slide. Oh, all right, it's my internet, I think, is probably having a problem.
See if we can play the video.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. Can you see it? Can you guys see any slides?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah. Slide.
You're not seeing a full slide. You're seeing a slide, but now I can't advance it. Okay, here we are. Okay, now you can see it, right?
Yes.
Here we go. Okay, great. So, okay, here we are. Hide floating meal. Okay, great. So these are the 6 shared emotions. This is definitely the science you want to study. When you talk, when you're in front of a group of people, your face is doing what your face does. Your face is not doing what you think it does. Study these 6 shared emotions. Look what it says here. Practice eyebrows pulled down and together for anger. The eyes are open wide, staring hard if you look at anger. Lips pressed tightly together. If you practice these 6 emotions in front of a mirror, actually studying them and creating muscle memory, because keeping in mind when you're on a stage or when you're in front of a group of people and you want to look surprised, you can't go, okay, no, what was that doing? What I had to squeeze it. No, it has to be memorized by the muscles in your face. If you want to do something really fun with your club online, if you're on online with online people, have everybody look at their camera and you say an emotion and then do a screenshot. Now they have to be looking at their camera. They can't be looking at their screen, just at their camera. And go through like 6 emotions and then go back together and look at them. And you're going to be shocked that when you thought you were doing a sad face, if you thought you were doing a happy face, you weren't. The other group, probably the rest of the people in the group wouldn't even have known. Some people, their face doesn't change for all the emotions, but they think their face is changing. It's especially important if you're an old lady like me, because guess what happens? The muscles. I have to be smiling like a fool for you to even register that I'm smiling, because as you get older, the muscles in your face start to sag. And when you think you're smiling, like I think I'm doing right now, it doesn't look to you like I'm smiling. So it's important to actually practice the emotions and learn the emotions and how the muscles move in the face and memorize those if you want to be a great speaker. But be careful about smiling, because here's the difference. The one on the left is a Duquesne smile. Smiling from ear to ear, your eyes are a little bit squinted. And if you really want to get your audience, when you're doing a Duquesne smile, right at the end, raise your eyebrows just for a minute. And that's an authentic Duquesne smile. The one on the right, not so much. That's Mr. Creepy Smile guy. And sometimes when you think you're being the guy on the left, you're really being the guy on the right. So it's something to really be careful about. These are these little things you need to know. Learning styles you need to know so that you can include words in every time you speak. You want to include auditory words like, do you hear what I'm saying? you use whispering. Kinesthetic, you have a giveaway if you're in person. I'm going to be giving stuff away to you if you email me. Have to have something for people who learn through holding, people who learn through writing and experience things, people who learn visually. So you're going to have not too many words on a slide, mostly just pictures, but you have to know what the learning styles are so that you can make sure every learning style in your audience is being met. Oh, Otto Scharmer, love this guy. 4 levels of listening. You must know the 4 levels of listening. This is so important with what's going on in the world today, my friends, because most of the listening going on out in the world today is basic listening, listening for what they already know and what they already agree with. People who listen to Fox News only listen to Fox News. People who listen to MSNBC only listen to MSNBC. I've turned off all the news stations because why? It's just basic listening going on. That's it. They're listening for what they agree with and what they already believe, and the rest of it they're throwing out. Factual listening is just one level up, listening for just the facts. Just the facts, ma'am. I have a problem when I'm watching the news of getting stuck in this, but at least it's better than basic. I'm looking for facts to go research instead of just what I already believe and what I think is the case. Once you start doing factual listening and your audience does factual listening to you, you rise up a level. Empathetic is you are actually listening for feelings. This is where conversations can occur. If we can get the world to start listening to each other at the 3rd level, we can actually start seeing how other people feel about things. And we can have conversations. And God help us, we could get to generative listening, where we're both listening for where the 2 of us can co-create a different possibility. It's called collective creativity. Read the books, U Theory by Otto Scharmer, read every book you can, but definitely study and research Otto Scharmer's 4 levels of listening. Dr. Gabor Mate, you must study him. He is the science of compassion. This guy is a doctor who all he does is he works with addicts, heroin addicts mostly. And his explanations of the level of compassion that he has for addicts that he's working with, and for me, compassion that I have for the audience that I'm working with, takes me from just an ordinary level of compassion all the way to the compassion of possibility. And we're not going to get into these because this is he gets deep into the science of it. But once you study Dr. Gabor Mate's 5 levels of compassion and you have embodied them, an understanding of them, it will change the way you deal with an audience. As a speaker, I'm a speaker that I speak a lot about racism. I speak a lot about white racist ideology that's embedded in every person that socializes white in the United States. It's what I do. You can imagine I sit in front of a group of people, audiences that aren't too happy to hear stuff I'm saying, right? I have to be in a place of compassion to create resonance with them, to create a different kind of possibility in the world, which is what I'm committed to doing, because I'm committed to having people get that they matter. Everybody, not just people that look like me. So you want to study Dr. Gabor Mate. Here are the books that of let's see, 7, I probably got 30 here. I'll send you my full reading list. That humor, you definitely want to have humor. You want Judy Carter's book on humor. Gabor Mate in the Realm of Hungry Ghost is the book I'd recommend for about the levels of compassion. These are just some of the books. If again you tell me you want my reading list, I'll be happy to send you the whole list of that I give my students, because all of this material is like that I'm cramming at you right now comes from it's actually a year-long program called Mastery in Action that I facilitate. And so this is they have to read all these books over the course of the year, students that I have. So this is just a few of them. Rhetorical tools, definitely something I'll send you. I'll send you my Linda Marie's favorite rhetorical tools. It comes in a bound thing like this. It's all of them. But you must know I'd say at least 5 rhetorical tools that you use when you speak, especially when you're writing a speech, especially if you're in the speech contest. I'm going to give you a couple of them here that you have to know. Anaphora. using the same words at the beginning of a sentence 3 times in a row. If you heard my second place speech in 2020, I live a life of white privilege while my friend Tony, I live a life of privilege while blah, blah, blah. But Tony's son, I use that, the anaphora. Anaphora lights up the audience's brain when they're listening to you. It's lyrical. I always use it without fail in every speech, especially every competitive speech that I do. Anadiplosis. This is a great one. It's the last words in a sentence are the first words in the next sentence. Last, first. This grabbed me. I was in the kitchen a few years ago and the TV was on, and this was a Levi's commercial on television. And this was what it said. When we make better, we can buy better. When we buy better, we can wear longer. When we wear longer, we can buy less. When we buy less, we can waste less. And when we waste less, we can change the world. It made it sound like buying a pair of Levi's is going to change the world. All through this anadiplosis. And it really made my brain light up, brought me from the kitchen to the living room to watch the commercial and rewind it and watch it again. Anadiplosis is what I like to use. Alliteration, must use. Anadiplosis, alliteration, anaphora. Those 3 A's. If you just use those 3 A's, you're going to be set up to be a more impactful speaker. And alliteration is the easiest. All you have to do is have a thesaurus or word hippo on your phone and go through your speech after you've written it, or your speaking segment or your keynote. And every time there's a noun, look up, if you have an adjective with a noun, look up an adjective that starts with the same letter. This was a speech I did about my first boyfriend, or my first guy. First time I heard a bass guitar. A sound that sent my innocent imagination racing down a road of taboo thoughts and forbidden feelings. I could have just said it differently without using alliteration, but there was something about alliteration that made it sound almost poetic. Use alliteration. It's the easiest thing you can use in a speech, easiest thing you can do. The art of speaking is in the being. We've talked about the science of it. The art of speaking is in the being, and you have to practice. And it can't just be one day. One day I made this beautiful blueberry strawberry cheesecake. I made this. This thing is 5.5 inches tall. I made this one day. This is what I do every other day. I don't cook. I never have. My husband, God bless him, he wouldn't let me in the kitchen. It was a good thing. It's not my thing. But one day I did something, but that can't be the way it is with speaking. You can't just do something one day and think you're going to be the best. You have to experiment, you have to practice, because you cannot forget technique. You can't abandon technique until you have mastered it, which means repetition and practice. Here's something that will challenge you. Practice modeling. And when I say modeling, you can go out on, if you ask me, I'll send you the list. I think I've got 25 or 30 famous monologues from movies, and model them. Memorize them, and then deliver them, not as yourself. Deliver the monologue called King Kong and be Denzel Washington. You'll have to swear a lot. Be Julia Roberts doing Aaron Brockovich's Lay Mass Offer monologue. In order to graduate from the Mastery in Action course that I teach, you have to do this, and you have to nail it. It's not just try. And what you learn when you practice modeling and you nail down modeling is anytime you're speaking, you can say, I need to bring a little bit of Aaron Brockovich to this. I need to bring a little Cruella to this. Because we all have many ways of being. People say, well, I don't want to be inauthentic. It's authentic. I have an Aaron Brockovich in me. I have a Lay Mass Offer conversation in me, and I have a training day King Kong conversation from my son when he wouldn't clean his room when he was a teenager. I have many ways of being. Don't be a one-trick pony. Learn how to access all of the different ways of being that you have inside of you by practicing modeling. Ask me for the whole list of all of the monologues that my students use, and I'll be happy to send it to you. Practice your facial expressions. I talked with you about this one. This definitely requires practice, and it requires you looking at your camera, not at your screen. In fact, when I'm working and practicing, this goes over my monitor. I don't want to look at my face. My brain wants to look at a face, but I can't be looking at a face because I got to be looking at the screen. I mean, I have to be looking at my camera, be focusing on my camera because it's cheating. And when I'm in front of an audience, I'm not going to be able to look in front of a mirror or a monitor to see what my face is doing, check in with it, and then go to my audience. So cover your monitor up when you're doing your practice for your facial expressions. Practice speaking without words. Do your whole speech, stand in front of a mirror without words, run the speech through your head, and simply do the gestures in front of the mirror and see if anything, if you feel anything, if you see anything, if you can tell anything. Don't just have your words come out of your mouth and your body's just, doing whatever your body feels like doing in that moment. Memorizing the gestures for a meaningful speaking segment that you're doing is just as important as memorizing the words, memorizing the gestures, and then only using movement when those gestures are called for. Practice speaking without gestures. Tie your hand, put tape, duct tape, and I've done this. I put duct tape around my coachees' bodies because their hands just won't stop moving. Their body won't stop moving. And with your no gestures at all, can you simply, with your voice and your words and the expression on your face, deliver an impactful message? If you can't, there's work to be done in this particular area. Practice speaking to 5-year-olds. It's a whole different skill set. Take a complex subject and get a group of 5-year-olds together and rewrite it in a way that they'd understand it. On the other end of the spectrum, talk to people in a nursing home. You'll have to raise your voice for starters. You'll have to slow down for sure. But it will change and give you more tools in your toolbox to work from. Speak across a stadium. My students actually have to find a place that's as big as a stadium and deliver a speech across it and experience themselves differently in the process, letting them know they have what it takes to be full on power instead of, and it not that you would ever are going to ever deliver a speech like that, but when you experience the power in your body that comes out when you do that, it gives you another tool in your toolbox. Practice breath work. This is what opera stars do. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I'm a throat talker. My habitual voice is in my throat. I talk from my throat. That's just what I do. I have a lower tone voice. That's where I'm comfortable speaking. If we're just having a conversation at Starbucks, this is the voice you're going to hear. But when I'm talking online, I can't do that because talking for an hour from your throat gets your vocal cords very, very tired. So I have to practice what opera singers do, moving the air around into different air pockets in my face, moving the air out of my throat and into my mouth, using my mouth. Right now, I'm speaking from my mouth. I'm not speaking from my throat. Up here, I can speak from my nasal cavity. I can move the sound up into the air pockets on my nasal cavity, or back here into my cheek, the air pockets in my cheek. You can use it for different voices, for characters that you're speaking, but it also gives a different tone and a different resonance to your voice. If you want to make sure you're speaking from your mouth, do what this picture's doing. Blow through a straw like you're singing. Do it like a kazoo. Through a straw for like 20 seconds. Take it away and speak. When you do that, you will be speaking from your mouth. You won't be speaking from any other air pocket. And when I'm practicing, in fact, I have a straw right over here. Before I go on, I practice that so that I remind myself to speak from my mouth sometimes, my mouth pocket, instead of from my throat all the time. Experiment. What did I say? Oh, Fail till you win. Be like me with my marriages. Look at this, 3 marriages, for God's sakes. The third one got married on the beach. Love of my life. The other two, look at the first one. How many bridesmaids do you need to get divorced 6 years later? And the middle one, my second husband. In fact, that first dress I paid $6,000 for. It was cover of Brides magazine. That middle picture was my best friend's daughter's homecoming queen dress. When I married, he looks like a child. Whatever, 10 years younger than me. What was I thinking? And then finally, the love of my life. Fail, fail, fail. Eventually, I won. I hit the jackpot. So let that be the same way for you in speaking. Be willing to fail and get back on the horse and just say, giddy up. And don't limit yourself to what's comfortable. If you do, you'll never be able to do what's possible. Step out of your comfort zone. Make a fool of yourself. All right, so we're going to come, and I think I still have time, don't I? Somebody give me a verbal thumbs up that I've got some time.
Yes.
Okay, great. Because we're Toastmasters, are there contestants in the audience? Somebody's competing. Give me a
Yes.
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 Are there judges in the audience or role players in the contest in the audience too? Probably.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm talking to Toastmasters. I'm going to share with you something that I hope, if you take nothing else away, that you'll take this away. That you are never going to become a great speaker or a great judge or a great role player unless you are actually becoming a good speaker and a good speak writer. So you get to practice these things. These are all the things we've talked about. You'll get this when I send you the deck. These are all the habits you're going to get. But I want to get right to this. Mastery and growth in competition. We joined Toastmasters for something. You joined Toastmasters for something. Every single thing you join Toastmasters for, you can get by competing. Look at all these benefits of competing. Rewriting speeches, the art of revision, practicing the mastery in action, learning how to dig out your life stories. It builds character when you fail. Learn leadership as you lead your ship up the levels in the competition. There's no failure, it's only feedback. But here's the key. Forget about chasing the trophy, chase the points. This is why I win. This is why I never worry about the competition, because I chase points. And somehow when you chase points and you have some tools in your toolbox in order to get some of those points, you will fare well in the contest. This is what's on the judge's guide and ballot. And this is what I want to really tell you guys here. We're all familiar, especially contestants, with the judge's guide and ballot. The first page is the guide and ballot. The top is the guide. The little tear off at the bottom is the ballot. The top part that says guide isn't gospel. It's just a tool that, my hand to God, I don't think very many judges understand it well enough to use it to the contestant's benefit or use it at all. The second page of the judge's guide and ballot isn't about guide or ballot. Where is it called? It is called, page 2 is called the judging criteria. This is where the juicy juice is. And sadly, this is what most people don't pay any attention to at all. In fact, when I'm in front of a group of people and I'm talking about to contestants and I say, what does appropriateness mean in the judging criteria? They all say, well, if it's an appropriate speech. No, I'm here to tell you that Toastmasters International has claimed, it's on their website if you want to look it up, that members often, this is right off the Toastmasters page, international website, Members often hear through the grapevine that speeches concerning politics, religion, and sex are forbidden by Toastmasters International because such controversial subjects are not appropriate. This is not true. I'm telling you guys right off of Toastmasters International. If you know me on the final stage, you know what I talk about. Most people would say is not appropriate. But Toastmasters exists for us to learn how to talk about anything in an appropriate way, using appropriate language, of course. Appropriate has nothing to do with the topic, but every judge that I've ever talked to thinks that's what it means. If you are judging, please know what's on the second page. I'm going to make it easy for you. I have taken and replaced what they call a guide. Here we go. Content is 50 points. Oh, here's the big one for you contestants. Last year, speech development was 25 points. Was 20 points. Effectiveness was 15, and speech value was 15 points. Speech value is now 25 points. We should be placing more emphasis on what is considered speech value than we do on development. These are the points that they give for delivery. Do you know that most people don't know what manner means? It's actually there as something that gets 10 points. Judges don't even know what manner is, as it's described on page 2. So to make it easy for coachees that I coach in the contest, and for any judge who's interested in knowing what's on page 2, I have created, let's go past these. I merged what's on page 2 with what's on page 1. And anytime I'm evaluating a speech, and anytime I'm getting my contest speech evaluated, I hand out this form. And I tell everybody in the room, I want you to use this. This is all I want you to do. First of all, I want you to tell me what the message was. I'm not going to tell you the message. I want you to tell me what the message was from my speech. But content, 15 point speech development, these 3 questions right here are what's on page 2. And because it's 15 points and there are 3 questions, I just say, give me 5 points for each. If judges used this kind of thinking instead of just using page 1 as a guide for, I don't know what. Someone asked me once, does Toastmasters approve of using this? Well, the people don't even use what's on this page. It's a guide. This is simply another guide. And if you want a copy of this, I'll send you a copy of this. I use it when I'm coaching people, and I use it when people are evaluating my speeches, because this is where the points, what contestants should be focusing on. And look at manner, the one that very few people get points for me before they get coached from me. Did I experience the speaker's real self? Most times not. Just a perfectly delivered speech that they just verbally vomited on me. Was the speaker authentic and real? Did they experience confidence? That's an easy one. And were they interested in me? The other one that's most important is speech value. This has gone up 10 points. That means that Toastmasters decided that this particular 25 points, that used to be 15, that contestants should be focusing on this. And this is something missed all the time. Was the speaker's message meaningful? Don't let fear stop you. Might be meaningful. I don't know. It's definitely not going to get 6.25 points for the second question. Was it original? An original, meaningful message will win a contest more times than not. Is it an idea that's important? Don't let fear stop you. Yes, it's important. Is it an idea that contributes to my thinking? No, I already know not to let fear stop me. If coaches used what's actually on page 2, the criteria, and stuck to it for judging, sometimes we might have a lot less head scratching when it comes to selected winners. And I know we've probably all been to a contest where someone won and went, what? I mean, I'm not going to be prettier than somebody. I'm not going to be younger than anybody. I'm not going to be thinner than somebody. All I have to go on is chasing the points. And if you chase points, you, as a contestant, will come out on top and walk with a trophy. If you, as a judge, focus on these things that are which are right off of page 2, and give points for these things, then you're going to be serving contestants really well. And the last one I'll say is when I coach folks, I coach a number of people from other countries. This is a contest that's in English. And there are 10 points for using correct, 5 for correct, there's 10 points for either using correct grammar and correct pronunciation. I have heard judges say, oh, well the English in the first language, we're going to throw grammar and pronunciation out the window. It's 10 points. You can't give them more than 90 points or you're throwing the criteria out the window. And this is a contest that's based on criteria from the judging criteria on page 2. So I'm off my soapbox. If you want a copy of this, make this a note of this too, and I'll send this to you as well. Or it's in the deck. You can get it from the deck. But if you're a contestant, make sure you're covering all of these. And if you need help with one of them, give me a call, and I'll give you an idea or two about it. So questions. I've spoken for, I don't know how long, an hour and 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I can go on, but I'd like to go to questions now if anybody's got questions. And while we're doing that, I'm going to give you my email so that you can reach out to me.
Yeah, Linda Marie.
Yes.
Thank you very much. But your screen is black. We don't see you.
Do you see anything?
We
Yes.
see your presentation, but not you.
Oh, okay. So okay. So do this. If you're in the audience and you have your phone, take a picture of this QR code, and this will make sure you get everything or you can email me and ask for stuff. But take a picture of this screenshot if you can get a picture of the QR code, because that's going to take you to where you can request things, or you can just email me at that email. So I want to make sure everybody gets all of these handouts that they want, or this full deck if they want. And here's my advice to you. You can take this deck and change it to you, and you can use any of these slides you want. I don't care. My goal in life is to have people start studying the science and practicing the art, and I don't care who they learn it from, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's gotten that? Everybody had a chance to do that? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
And I'm going to come back. There I am.
Thank you. Yeah,
Now?
you're back.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
All right. Okay. And I'll send you you definitely want my book list. So make sure you ask for the book list of the reading list.
Now we're gonna run a short QA session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We have one member. Elaine, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks.
Mhm.
Thanks, Linda Marie. All right.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi, we know each other in stage time.
We do. We do.
Yes,
So
we do.
I highly recommend that. Fripp.com, I put it in the chat. This has been fantastic. I love that you have, that you're sharing this, most of all, that you're sharing your wisdom with us. My question is about in ISC judging criteria. You
Yes.
so you print it out and you bring it to your club as a way to get the feedback on the points that you want. Can you just run through that one more time?
Yeah, no, I take it, and I don't anytime I deliver a contest speech, I deliver contest speeches to people other than Toastmasters too, just to see, hey, does it hit you? Do you get it? Is it what are you feeling? But it's really important for the message too, because I say I want you to write the message on there, but I don't want you to say it out loud, because I want you to email these to me or drop them in the chat to me directly, so I can see what people thought the message was of my speech. Because if they don't get the message that I think I'm delivering, it ain't their fault. It's my fault, and I have work to do. So that tells me I have work to do. So I test drive. In fact, here are some possible contest speeches. I deliver a different speech at every level of the contest. That's what I like to do. So, and this is how they ultimately end up on cards for me to memorize them. So I will take one, I'll go deliver it, and I'll put that in the chat. I'll ask everybody to print it off and email it back to me but every time I speak with a contest speech. And so any club or any group of people that I deliver to, and I don't want you to, and here's what I do because it makes it easy on people. I get the full points or I get 0. Either the message was meaningful or it wasn't.
Okay.
So it's 0 or it's 6.25. So this is what I think is so confusing to people on this one. Okay, was it very good? Okay, 11 what is it, 12? And here's the thing, this is crazy, you guys. These words right here that are supposed to be what this is about, that's not what's on page 2. It's disjointed. I want to rewrite this whole thing for Toastmasters. Maybe one day they'll let me. But in the meantime, I think
Yes, you should ask. Yes.
I think that doing this is why I do well. Because even though if you're chasing these points and I'm not stopping until I'm getting 100 points from everybody that I'm delivering to, when I'm getting 100 points every time I deliver, for some reason, I'm also getting judges' votes when it comes time for the contest. So it's just, it works for me. And I think it will work for you too.
No,
Anybody
I
that's
think that's
competing.
brilliant. Everybody, yes, do what Linda says, and I'm going to do that as well. And I'm going to email you. I made a whole list.
Oh yeah, I'll send you everything I've got.
I'm
Everything.
going to email you and start doing that. But I also love just how you said, give me 5 or 0, right? Give me all the points or 0, because I think that's what hangs up judges so much.
Yeah,
When they're like
did it or not.
worried about crunching the numbers. I'm not a numbers person. I'm more intuitive about,
You know
did they
what?
achieve it or not?
I did this last year I do this when I'm watching the competitions, right? Because I didn't compete last year because I was, down the grief hole.
Yeah,
But
how did that work?
I did. Oh, now I had, well, of course, I was screaming at the TV because the person who had the most points went over time. So there's that.
There's
So rule
that.
number 1, don't go over time. But it definitely is always will come up with to me who's the best. Now, when it's close, I did this for all 28 semifinalists, and not all of the 8 finalists were in my top 8 because judges were looking at something else. I've seen people win because they're young and are wearing a little gold cross and they have big bazooms. I've seen people win. I've seen some crazy stuff, right? And we all have. We have scratched our heads sometimes when somebody won and we went, what was that?
Right.
I have one of my coaches, one of the most amazing speakers I've ever heard, has never won, and it's because he's obese. And we're judging on things that it's not a weight loss contest, it's a speech contest. And so
yeah.
it's if we stick to just the judging criteria, then I think we'll all be served. But I speak more to judges than even to contestants. Contestants, you'll win trophies if you chase the points. But for the judges, contestants have worked so hard, right? Use the judging criteria, make it pure for them, and not just. I went to a judges training this year just because as a contestant, I want to know what I'm in a new district and just what judges are training. Someone said, forget about page 2, forget about all this. Just write down your 3 favorites here. You guys know who it was.
Yeah.
What? Somebody might have a great message.
Yeah.
But they have poor grammar, so in poor print, and they don't get 10. Somebody may have some. What? I almost cried, but
Great
it is what it
message,
is.
great points. I agree. We just did this last story standing for NSA. We did a countdown clock on the screen. No one went overtime. Why can't we do that in Toastmasters? And that way, every single message would qualify.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I also I could do a whole other session for you guys on how to embody and memorize a speech within time and how to embody it, a 7-minute version, a 20-minute version, and an hour-long version of it. I have a way that I do that, and it all has to do with movement and walking. It's a science. It's a science of syncopation and the science of moving. But if you, as a master speaker, knows exactly when they need to stop talking. In fact, I used to tell my husband, I said, on my deathbed, if you gave me the first line of any important speech I've ever delivered, I will deliver it in time. I won't miss a word. Because why? Because I've embodied it. I don't need the cards anymore. It's a part of me. And all of those speeches that we have, all those stories that we have, and you're giving me an opportunity to say it, so I have to say it. People, you have to tell your stories because your a eulogy, someone's going to get up at your funeral and they're going to tell your life story in like whatever. What do they get? 5 minutes? And all those messages of your life, all those meaningful things that your life meant, and the stories from that, and the messages for people, and the lessons for people are going to be buried with you. Don't let that happen. Start building your story file and start speaking and telling people who you are in the world. You already do that, Elaine. I know that. So I'm not
Thank
talking
you.
to you. I'm
Thanks,
talking to
Linda.
everybody. You're welcome.
It's been a treat.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Anybody else? MG?
Yeah, I'll ask them here. Is that good?
No.
Hi, good morning. I'm MG. I teach second grade and I was Toastmaster a few years ago and I came back and I'm really excited to be part of the club. I'm curious, like how you started as a speaker, like what led you to this? Were you in drama? What led you down this path? You clearly been at it really well and you're very successful and you enjoy it and you're passionate about sharing and teaching. So
Yeah, I actually, the first time I spoke was in sixth grade, and I cried, and I got sent home, and I had to do a poem in front of my class, and it was atrocious. I remember the poem to this day. And then the second time I spoke was in college. I had to do a presentation about Lazy Boy. I had to do a case study for my business class, and it was University of Georgia. It was a Wednesday morning. I had been to Penny a Beer Night the night before. I was late to class. I pulled my, bell bottom jeans on quick and got up on the stage in one of those auditorium classes where there's a ton of people. And my hand to God, my pair of bikini underwear fell out of my pants onto the stage. So I cried and ran off the stage. So I've had some epic speaking fails. So I stopped speaking completely until I was 42. At the age of 42, I became an a certified ontological trainer. And ontology, I'm a huge, in fact, if you want to change the way you speak, if you want to change how you speak, Speaking Being, most amazing book ever, will change you. But ontology is the work of Heidegger. It's the study of beingness, beingness. And this is, here's some science to it. In this moment that I've spoken to you, in this moment I've spoken to you, if I've done my job, I can change not only, I have changed just with the words out of my mouth, not only your future, but how you saw yourself in the past. And how you saw yourself in the past can reframe who you are in this moment and who you'll be forever. It's the study of beingness. It's by Heidegger. So I'm an ontological trainer, meaning I train beingness. I'm also an experiential trainer, which means I am skilled and certified in creating an experience in a room without using techniques that I can share with you if you want to know one, but it's having people have their own ahas without me telling them about it, having people learn about themselves. So that, I think, being an experiential trainer and an ontological trainer and coach, I think set me up to be an impactful speaker. And when I combine that with wanting people to get that they matter, right? And the beauty of being an ontological coach and having people get that they matter, and that's where my coaching comes from, you can tell someone they suck if they get that you care about them. I mean, at Toastmasters, we worry so much about the sandwich method. But for me, I want whatever your message is for the world, I want to know it. And then I want to be committed to it. And I want you to be so committed to it that you're willing to go to the ends of the earth to get that message out in the world, no matter what it is. And how crazy my message is to white people that if you're socialized as white in this country, there's a high likelihood you are a little bit of a racist deep down. That's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. But that is what I'm passionate about, having people change. And there isn't anybody in my program, Whites Walking Willing, that hasn't transformed as a result of realizing, wow, a lot of the we just all tell that, and I'll tell this with you. If you want to change the world, tell the world what you're most afraid is going to find out about you.
Yeah.
Let that be your next speech in Toastmasters. That'd be a great table topics question. What are you afraid the world will find out about you? And go. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, one more question. Anybody?
Anybody online?
Online?
Daisy, do you have a question, please?
No, I was just gonna, it's okay, we're on the.
Yeah, we're.
I don't
Okay.
see any other raised hands. online.
Thank you, Linda Marie.
Okay, and everybody got my email, so send me what you want, and I will send you all the goodies. Oh, and I'll send you a bonus. You remember I talked about I want to be a millionaire? If you, based on what you hear today, commit to, with your voice, making a difference in the life of at least 100 people, directly or indirectly, and you tell me that in an email, I will send you a $1 million Millionaire of the Heart bill. And you will take this, and you can get on Amazon these little frames where you frame the first dollar bill you ever earned, and you frame it and you put it on your wall and let it remind you that every time you open your mouth, you're creating a new future for whoever's in front of you and for whoever they are in front of. And let it be that important. And you will end up being a millionaire of the heart too. That's it.
Great practice.